Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel. So it feels like Christmas Eve for me right now. I cannot wait to jump into Battlefield 6 tomorrow, stream the game, play it with you guys. And so in today's video, I figured we'd do one final, just massive news roundup. You'd be surprised, but there is a lot of stuff to go over today. So we've got more ways for you guys to secure yourselves beta keys, and among them, I'm going to be doing a little giveaway on my channel. More news on that later on in the video. We've also got some new news out of DICE via various interviews that were conducted on their seasonal content actually, and the release cadence of the general update, so how quickly we're going to be getting that content. There's been a leak for the Battle Royale mode, AI soldiers are coming to the game, there's a new patch for the beta, even though the beta hasn't released yet. So we have a ton of stuff to dig into today, guys. So without further ado, if you enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that sub button. I'm going to be all over the beta, all over the game really, and everything in between. So if that is something that you're interested in, then leaving a sub is massively appreciated. And once again, thank you guys just so much for the support over the past few days. It's been nuts, and I couldn't do it without you, so thank you for that. Shout out today for Mr. Torbis for, once again, giving me some gameplay for Battlefield 6. His link is going to be in the description below. I know he's going to be all over the game as well, so definitely check him out. I have to say, I'm really looking forward to being able to play the game and capture some of my own footage though too. Okay, so first of all, let's talk early access. I'm sure most of you are aware by now, and I know I've talked about how to get early access for the game a lot, but for anybody out there who still doesn't have access and you really want it, there are a few new ways. So you can get early access to the game on the 7th and the 8th of August. If you don't get a code for it, you're only getting in on the 9th and the 10th of August, on the Saturday and the Sunday. And Battlefield just yesterday posted this saying, missed your chance at the Battlefield 6 multiplayer reveal for early access codes? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Watch 30 minutes of any creator streaming Battlefield 6 on Twitch during August 7th to 8th to unlock open beta early access. So they are going to open up the drops again. I'm going to be streaming the game both here on YouTube and on Twitch from 8 o'clock in the morning as soon as it opens up tomorrow morning. So you will be able to get a drop that way. But, of course, whilst it only takes half an hour, you're still going to have to install the game, and depending on your internet connection, you may miss out on a bit of playtime. But there are other ways to get codes as well. A lot of creators, guys, are doing giveaways on Discord, on Twitter, probably on their YouTube channel, so I would definitely recommend looking around. And as an example of this, here the Battlefield communication account says, over the next day or two, your community team will be dropping images onto the Battlefield Discord that contain early access keys. We'll be sharing them at random intervals, and they'll look just like the one below. And here are a bunch of keys that they posted. I wouldn't try and claim any of these guys. They will almost certainly be taken, so you'll be wasting your time. But if you go in the Discord and other places, you can probably find more of them. I have a few codes to give away as well, and I will be doing a stream this evening. I figured it would be nice if we just had a bit of a moment, you know, the day before we all get to experience the new Battlefield game, go over our thoughts, go over any news that has cropped up as usual, as I'm sure there's going to be a ton of that, and I'll give away a few keys in the chat. Massive shout out to Battlefield Bulletin. I did not receive these keys from EA. He was actually so kind to give a few of his to me to share with you guys. Now, on the topic of beta, I know some people on the stream the other day were under the impression that the first 2 days of beta, the early access, were under an NDA, and that's because the email we got directly from Battlefield Labs had this little confidential sticker at the bottom, but the Battlefield communication account has confirmed here that early access and the open beta for BF6 does not have a non-disclosure agreement associated to them, so you are good to go. You can share your gameplay, you can stream the game, talk about it, do whatever you want. Now, interestingly enough, it looks like there is already a day one patch going out for the beta with a file size of 6.8 gigabytes, which is quite interesting because in yesterday's video, I was detailing for you guys how DICE are making several changes to the game, like the TTK is changing, they're making some class changes, and so I wonder, are those the changes that are going into the open beta right now? Maybe they weren't 100% sure whether those changes would make it into the beta or not, and that's what they indicated in the blog post. But what else could this be? Hopefully they're going to drop some patch notes for us as well, but I'm very curious to see tomorrow just how the game is going to play. Is the recon going to have the spawn beacon? Is it going to be on the assault class? Because it may end up playing quite differently to what we saw then at the reveal event. Now, once again, Mr. Battlefield Bulletin posted a fantastic summary here from a lengthy article which was conducted in Chinese because it took place at the Hong Kong event, which was a couple of days ago. Yes, so for those of you who didn't know, there wasn't just reveal events in London, Paris, and LA, and also I think Berlin, but also one in Hong Kong on the 4th, and there were DICE and EA folks there conducting interviews with people, and here is a bit of a translated summary from that for you. So first off here, when it comes to map remakes, he says DICE want to choose, based on fan and player requests, the best possible classic builds or maps to bring back the good old days of playing Battlefield. And that was in regards to a question somebody asked on, are there going to be any more remakes for the game? You guys will know that Operation Firestorm has already been confirmed as one of the launch maps for BF6, but you'll also know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, that our infamous data miner Temporeal has already found Propaganda from Battlefield 4, he's found Tala Market from BF3, and Downtown from Battlefield Hardline. Now that doesn't necessarily confirm that they're surely coming to the game, but I have to say, I find it quite probable. So maybe we're going to see that in some of the seasonal content. And speaking of maps, he also says the game will have many seasonal events with new weapons, modes, and maps. I think that is absolutely crucial that they have a solid release cadence, because that's not what we saw with Battlefield 2042. We had to wait, it felt like months and months, maybe close to a year, just to get the first season because they had so much to fix on the game. But clearly, I think it's safe to say that Battlefield 6 is going to come out swinging, right? It's looking really good, so I'm sure they've already got some seasonal content planned right from the get-go. Now, he says AI soldiers will backfill the servers if they are unpopulated. Their game design philosophy is to allow as many players as possible to play at the same time, though. So that's not a huge surprise that they are going to have AI soldiers in there. Of course, they're kind of like necessary for Portal, because if you don't fill up your Portal server, you'll want the option to maybe play with or against AI, or if you want to create like a zombie mode, you're going to need AI once again. So, you know, it totally makes sense that they're also going to use it here, but honestly, I don't think we're going to see the same problems that we did with Battlefield 2042, where, you know, the servers were half full, because I truly believe this game is just going to have a ton of players. Now, DICE says Battlefield 6 will receive regular quarterly updates, so again, I'm assuming these are in the way of new maps, new modes, new weapons, balance patches. Hopefully, if any issues arise with the game fairly early, they're not going to take too long to address those, get it out in a patch and get it fixed here, and I really think this is the way forward. You know, you need to do regular patches, not just to fix up the game and bring out new content, but just sort of so the game stays competent, so it stays alive and people have something to talk about and discuss. Now, here's a direct quote from the article saying, "We're not aiming for complete destruction of entire areas, like turning a battlefield into a parking lot with nothing left. Instead, we aim to create interesting, environmentally stimulating effects through destruction, primarily creating interesting scene changes." And that definitely sounds like what we've seen so far, right? The destruction is pretty bonkers. I don't think we've seen this destruction since maybe Bad Company 2, but it still seems like controlled chaos, right? Like, we're not leveling entire buildings all the time. After all, we don't want to end up with like a barren wasteland of a map, right? There needs to be some structure to it. From what I've played of it, I think they've done a good job of that. Now, talking about gunplay here, they said Battlefield 6's is the best and most sophisticated in the series. It honestly feels like they've put a special focus this time around on infantry play. I mean, I think that's always the case to some degree, right? Because everybody plays infantry, not everybody plays tanks, not everybody plays aircraft. So, like, that always makes sense, but it really does shine through that this time around, like, Battlefield 6's infantry play has seen a lot of iteration, a lot of polish, and it just feels really good. So here's a little bit on the time to kill system. They say, "We've done in-depth research on TTK, or time to kill. In fact, in Battlefield 6, we'll be dealing with complex gunfights and environments. TTK is typically fastest in close combat, where it's very fast, and the scenes we've shown in the trailers are mostly close combat. We've actually done a lot of testing on the game itself, as well as a lot of historical experience, and based on this experience, we've found the most enjoyable and comfortable combat situations for players. Based on our own experience, the TTK in the dynamic battlefields of Battlefield 6 needs to be fast enough to keep up with the changes on the battlefield. So when designing the TTK system, we used a lot of data analysis to reach the current results, but we will definitely listen to players' voices and feedback. The game will continue to evolve and will learn and adjust based on player feedback." So we know they've already taken a look at the TTK, right? I think a lot of people feel like it's a little bit too quick, a little bit too fast. People are just dropping like flies, and maybe that day one patch there for the beta has addressed just that. Okay, moving on from that, let's talk a little bit about the Battle Royale leak. So, a few days ago, and this seems to have magically disappeared from Twitter, pretty sure they've taken it down because it was breaking an NDA and, they DMCA'd it, but there was a short leak of actual gameplay from the Battle Royale. Well, when I say gameplay, it was a soldier walking through the house. Now, since I can't find it, and even if I could, to be honest, I couldn't show you guys in the video because it would result in my video being taken down, I can probably describe it to you guys. So he's walking through a house in the US. It's in this very sort of tropical LA looking area. So if you guys saw the leaked map from Temporal, it really seems to corroborate that that map is indeed correct. But he's walking through a fully furnished living room. There's a TV. The TV seems to even be playing something. So I think it really captures like the mood of the Battle Royale. You're going to be going through like somebody's house that has been lived in, maybe finding weapons and ammo and armor and stuff like that in there, as you would expect to in a Battle Royale like Warzone, for example. Now, everything did look pretty unfinished. There were a lot of like purple textures, which indicates that there really is no finished texture for that particular model. But the graphics looked, of course, just like normal Battlefield 6. So I've got to say, whilst I'm not a big Battle Royale player, I am curious, a little bit apprehensive, but very excited as well at the same time to play Battlefield's Battle Royale and just see, what they do differently, and maybe more importantly, whether they can capture this massive 100 million player audience that they're going for here. Now, for anybody who's downloaded the Battlefield beta client and you've gone through all of your options, you set your graphics, you set your mouse sensitivity, well, as good as you can without actually jumping into a game, right? You may have seen this, but there's a couple of new interesting options that I really wanted to highlight. So first of all, we have a new audio mix for Battlefield. So we've got high dynamics, we've got night mode, which is like a quieter one. You've got war tapes, which we'll all be familiar with, but then we've also got war tapes VAL, or very aggressive listening, expands upon war tapes with further raw aggression in the heat of battle. Field. So that sounds like if you just want to have a crazy immersive experience, maybe turn off the HUD, put on this War Tapes VAL mode, you can do that. And I think we're certainly going to see content creators doing just that, enjoying the sounds of the jets flying overhead. I mean, I've only played it with like the regular high dynamics mix here in labs, and even with that mix, the gunfire is very loud, jets flying over the head is extremely loud. It's like almost deafening to some degree, so I can't even imagine what War Tapes is going to be like, never mind this new setting. And then once again, in the audio section here, there are some new voice chat position modes, so I don't think we're going to have close voice chat for people like on the enemy team or anything, but you can now choose this interesting one that says in world. So voice chat has reverb and distancing applied based on player character location. So what I assume that means is that you'll likely only be able to communicate with your squaddies, but say your squaddie is like stood to the right of you, then you're going to hear him in your right earphone, right? So it's going to make a lot of sense. You know where your squad mate is just based on his speaking and listening to him. That is such a cool addition there. Personally, I do hope, at least in the Battle Royale, that we're going to see like local voice chat as well, where you can, just talk to anybody in there. I think that would be really fun. Might be a little bit toxic at times as well, but I'm a big boy, I can take it. And then finally here, we have David Serlin, the lead producer for Battlefield 6, on why the Frost Giant engine is so important. So this is actually coming from a Spanish interview, but luckily for us, it's been translated once again by Battlefield Bulletin, and he says, DICE lead producer David Serlin says, what we're doing in Battlefield 6 isn't possible on a generic engine, and the Battlefield studios have no intention of leaving the Frostbite engine in favour of Unreal Engine 5. This kind of destruction, he says, what we're doing is not achievable on a generic engine. Frostbite is specifically made for this purpose, and we are creating a game specifically for this engine. I think we could achieve a spectacular level of destruction if we used a general engine and squeezed everything out of it, but we are Frostbite specialists, and in my opinion, you can tell. So that's been a question that they keep getting, like why do they keep pursuing the Frostbite engine? In the past, it's led to problems. I know that with Battlefield 2042, they saw a lot of the engineers who worked on it leave the studio, and basically they were left with nobody who really knew anything about the Frostbite engine. And that's so classic, because I've worked at plenty of companies before where they fire the guy, like the only guy who knows how to do this thing. They get rid of him, and then we realize like, oh shit, we don't even know like how to fix this. So I think the Frostbite engine has sort of led to a lot of problems and been notoriously difficult to deal with. But judging from what David says here, it sounds like they've got good reason to stick with it. The destruction being one of them, well, I mean, it looks absolutely bloody fantastic in the game, so I can certainly understand that for one. So I am going to leave today's video there, guys. Tomorrow, of course, we've got the beta, so you can probably expect me putting out a video of my first impressions, what I think of the beta, maybe comparing them to what I played in Battlefield Labs, something like that. I don't really know. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to spend most of the day streaming the game, playing the game, hopefully playing with some of you guys. I hope to see you online. I hope to see some of you in the chat. But this evening, shortly after you watch this video, in fact, I will be live and giving away a few keys in the chat. So if you guys want to come by for a bit of the night before stream, before we all jump into the beta tomorrow, just for a bit of fun, we'll go over any new news for the game, some gameplay, what the community are feeling like, and just have a bit of a hangout, then feel free to come by. As always, if you guys enjoyed today's video, leave a like below, subscribe to stay up to date with everything Battlefield 6, and I will see you all in the next one.